Well, hi, Marshall. It's nice to see you again. How have you been?
Just fine. It's good to see you too, Larry.
Yeah. Well, I see you got a new toy in the family.
I did.
What is this? What is this?
This is the Volkswagen ID.4. I believe I have one of the first that came to the state of Connecticut, at least.
Okay.
And just getting used to it, but enjoying it so far.
Yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful car. I love the color. What color does it have a name, particular name?
You know, I do forget the name, but it was only a color that was available on this first edition model that was, when first released, was sold out in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And so everybody is keen on the color, and I do enjoy it.
Yeah, and I did notice the first edition just sold out, almost immediately. So
Yes, it did.
I think it's going to be a popular car.
Well, we'll see. I mean, based on my experience, I think there'll be many people moving into an EV, maybe for the first time, that will find this a good step in.
Okay. And is this your first electric car?
No, this is actually my third. I had two BMW i3s and wanted something that was more capable of going on a family trip.
Okay.
And just more versatile. And so this was one I was looking at, and I think I made the right choice.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful, and it seems to be about the size of maybe an Audi Q3 or Q5. I mean, it is not a small car, right? It's fairly sizable here.
I mean, what I'm told, that the Tiguan is the comparable size vehicle, but I think I'm correct that this even has more interior space than that does.
Right.
And so we also have a Subaru Outback XT, and they're in the garage together. And this guy is maybe 6 inches shorter, so it's a bigger vehicle than originally thought to be.
Yeah, yeah. And the interior room, I think, is bigger because up front, where a lot of manufacturers, they put a frunk, so it's a storage area. But I think in this car, they moved the motors and the electronics up front. Is that right?
Yeah, the AC, it looks like to me like all the AC components and some other of the electrical components that would have otherwise found their way under the dash are pushed forward. And I think that's part of the reason that it delivers so much interior room.
Okay. And how's the drive? Are you comfortable with it?
The driving is very nice. You know, this is I think it's 4,600 pound vehicle. And so it does ride like something substantial on the road.
Yeah. And you enjoy the ride, and you've taken it some distance now, have you?
Well, the most I've taken it is New York City and back a couple of times.
Okay.
We're planning trips in the next couple of weeks to Pittsburgh and such, which I'll be able to get a better feel for it. But it performs very well on the highway, and it's easy to drive.
Well, Pittsburgh's several hundred miles away. Have you thought about the charging strategy here?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a stop. There's a number of stops along the way, and there's a few Electrify America systems that are part of what I get with this car, which is a 3-year free charging on those systems.
Wow.
So one stop along the way. It's publicized at 250 miles on a full charge. It appears to me I'm getting, with a combination of highway and local, 270, 275 miles. So it should be no problem with one recharge.
There you go.
Yeah.
So driving range wasn't a factor at all in deciding to buy an electric car?
Well, it was a factor. You know, the BMW had a max of about 180 miles battery, but it had the little, I call it lawnmower type motor, you know,
right.
that recharged the battery. So you could go forever, but it wasn't battery range by itself. But at 250 miles versus 300, 3.25, you still stop once on a decent trip. Right. So 250 was likely to, in my mind, to be the minimum required.
Okay. And did you actually try the Electrify America charging? I know it looks like it's pretty fast. In some cases, they have up to 350 kilowatt charging stations.
I haven't actually charged the car on it. I charge it at home, but I went to one just to make sure that my subscription worked and everything worked. So it went on, and that was the end of it, and I left. So I know I can use it.
Okay, all right. And when you were thinking about an EV, you're an experienced EV buyer. Were there other cars that you looked at, a Tesla or a Ford Mach-E?
Yeah, there were. I mean, I had, since I was coming off of lease, I had a good 4 or 5 months to think about what to do. And I was really toying between the Polestar 2 and the Mustang. And I ended up choosing this because the Polestar was a little bit more of a sedan type of a feel to it. This provided much more space and utility. And the Mustang, I just simply decided against it for some other reasons.
Okay, all right.
But, so it was those three that I was considering, though.
Okay. And incentives are always a big topic, right? Folks always want to know how much will the federal government or the state of Connecticut subsidize this. Were you able to take advantage of the incentives for the car?
Well, I did take the federal tax credit, and since I did lease the vehicle, what VW did is they gave a $7,500 credit against the cap cost on the lease.
Okay.
And some other manufacturers I know, for example, like Polestar, when I was reviewing that, they didn't tell you exactly how much of a credit they gave you on a lease, but they said they built in a factor. But I could actually determine that Volkswagen gave the $7,500 full credit.
So is that reflected in the monthly lease cost, or is it the cost at the end of the lease? How does that?
No, it's reflected in the monthly lease cost.
Oh, okay.
So it's as though I put down $7,500 cash at the beginning of the lease.
Oh, so you get that benefit right up front then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And how about the state of Connecticut?
No, because the MSRP was too high on this car to qualify.
Yeah. So, well, my understanding is the car starts at about just under $40,000, which is, it's probably about the average cost of a car these days.
Yeah, the car the base model starts at $39,900, I believe, and it has the same powertrain in two-wheel drive. Then you had this upgrade to the first edition, which has the glass roof and a number of other things, and they're coming out later on this year with a four-wheel drive one with 50% more horsepower than this guy has.
Okay.
And I had mentioned to you earlier, my daughter saw this car and she's ordered one. So in October she'll be getting the next production line of four-wheel drive models, which will have about 320 horsepower, which should move the car more quickly than this one.
Okay. Well, let's hope she's eligible for the federal incentive as well. I know in the discussions currently in Washington, we hope that they're going to continue the federal incentives, but only for cars manufactured in the U.S. And I think this will be manufactured in the U.S. at some point later this year. Is that right?
In Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I mean, the car that she will be getting will come out of Tennessee.
Oh, okay. All
so
right.
this was only this first edition model that came to the U.S. from Germany.
Okay. All right.
So I got in under the wire.
You got under the wire. There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. And as far as entertainment systems and software and navigability, it's always a big topic, right?
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the entertainment systems and sort of what functionality is there and how easy it is to use and so forth?
It's interesting, and I'm still playing with it. Obviously, it takes a while to get everything understood, but it's an interesting combination of on-screen functions, verbal functions, and a few haptic touches.
Right.
So you can tell the car to heat up your seat, or tell it to put on a massage in the front seat.
Oh, there you go.
You can tell it to do that, but you can also touch on the screen, and a few of the items. The heat is a slide bar, a touch bar you can use.
Okay.
The volume is a touch bar you can slide, and a few things like that. So it's a combination of touch, voice, and the screen. But what I like about this system, which I don't know is prolific in the industry, is that Apple CarPlay and the ID.4 system operate at the same time. So you can have an Apple Play, have my phone's nav system alongside the vehicle's entertainment system on the screen.
So you can use both systems at the same time and switch between them through voice commands?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, with this one screen going, I can call the car to do something or call my phone to do something. And I'm perfecting that.
Yeah.
But it was novel to me, and I think that was very good.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that sounds interesting. I'm not aware that anyone else has quite taken that route to put both systems together. That must give you a lot of flexibility.
Well, yeah, it does so far, and I think once I get a little bit better at it, it'll work smoothly.
Well, there's a learning curve with everything, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah. So what other interesting things should we know about this car? I mean, it's obviously a beautiful car. We're looking at it, and the color is just gorgeous, of course. And yeah, it's a beautiful size, and the lighting in the front and the back is just wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing I enjoy on this model is that because of the full glass roof, I was concerned about the light coming through and the heat. But what I have discovered is two things. One, you just move your thumb over this control, and a screen comes from the back all the way, covers to the front.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
And so if you want, you can do that. But the UV rating or process on this roof, it's very good, because I feel no glare and I feel no heat.
Yeah.
And everybody who's been in the back seat of the car says, wow, this is terrific.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that's been good. And, you know, the other thing is the room inside is immense. My son is 6'6", and he gets in the back seat with no problem, and he sits behind my wife, who likes to push the seat back somewhat, and it works. So it's quite functional.
Okay. And so there's a lot of discussion about support from dealers and so forth, and you know, obviously you bought this from Volkswagen. Can you tell us a little bit about the buying experience and how knowledgeable the dealers were and so forth? Yep.
Well, you know, without going into the particular dealership, the one that I did go to, the specialist was quite enthusiastic about EVs. He has been a Volkswagen owner of cars since he was a child. You know, and so he's a dedicated Volkswagen type of a guy, but he went through at least a 3-hour tutorial with me.
Oh, wow.
And he told me the story of taking the car home and practicing the tutorial on his family. So I know that he was trying to do a good job.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think at least the dealership experience I had, the dealership was very cooperative, but all the financial issues were dealt with online with Volkswagen website.
So did you actually order the car online?
Ordered the car online, and what happens is you select the dealership you want it delivered from.
Okay.
And they're notified, and then it's in their system as a unit to be delivered.
Okay.
when I pay the money to Volkswagen, they transfer it, once the car is delivered to the dealer, they transfer that money to the dealer. The final payment that I made went to the dealer.
Okay, terrific. And just one last question. So what advice would you give to folks who are considering an electric vehicle but maybe haven't purchased one yet?
Yeah, I think that the first thing that they should do is decide, at least from my perspective, because I had a car that was more quirky and techy, and one that's more familiar to others that have not been in EVs. And I think what a new buyer needs to determine is where they are on that spectrum, because it looks to me like there's many cars that are coming out that are, you know, moving from one extreme to the other. And I think that if you're looking to be less of a change, this vehicle feels like less of a change. When you're in it, you don't feel like, you know, it's the dash and everything else, although it's clean, it doesn't feel odd.
Right, right.
But if you are looking for the most technically advanced cars, you know, and you have that perspective, there's other choices to make. So I think that's one thing, is to ask yourself where you belong on that spectrum. And then I think that with what appears to be going on with public charging infrastructure, and hopefully this infrastructure funding from the government will help. In my mind, if you get a vehicle with 250 miles, I've never really, on a given day, without having a planned trip, run out of 250 miles.
Right.
And I think that range anxiety is not real, and I think that it just, if you find a car with 250 miles or better, you're going to be in good shape.
Well, it's not real once you get used to it and actually drive a car for a while, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, you know, it's a beautiful car, and it's large. It looks like it can easily fit 5 people, maybe more. And boy, at that price, you know, starting at $40,000, and then you add the federal incentive and hopefully the state of Connecticut incentive.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of car for the money, EV or not, right?
Well, this guy was like 44 and a half, and the one that, if you got this in the next 4-wheel drive edition, it's going to be 48, 49. Okay. But that's still very competitive to what else is in the market.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was great seeing you again.
Well,
and congratulations on the car.
I enjoyed talking about it. Thank you.
There you go. And we'll have to do this again when your daughter gets her car.
I'll tell her about it.
Like father, like daughter, right?
Yeah. Well, she's joining the EV club.
Oh, good.
She just did it last night, I think.
Oh,
so
terrific.
She's a newbie to it, but she'll be involved in it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I like too? You have the speedometer by your wheel.
Yeah, the speedometer is here, and you can change the view a little bit.
Wow.
This is all the stuff that tells you whether you're going to hit a car or you're in your lane and everything. And the speed, the range. If you look at that back seat, the room that's back there is just phenomenal.
Yeah, we're a tall family, so this is great. Huh.
And you want to see?
Leg room too.
Yeah, watch what happens. You just that screen is closing now on the roof.
Oh. You've got shades.
Yeah, and all you can do is just. Now she goes the other way. Royalty-free music.
That is so seamless too. Nothing makes a lot of noise at all.
No, and you see, there are a combination of these buttons. See, I can slide the temperature.
Oh.
You see that? And that's for my side.
I gotta lock the gates. You guys gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go. No problem.
That's fine.
Thank you.
See you later.
Well, he's on YouTube now too. Bike Park Ranger. And that ends this video.
Hey, Paul, we're in trouble.